Okay, so welcome to day three of the StartupTrybe LaunchPad Program. We have had day one and day two. Day one, we talked about understanding entrepreneurship and the startup ecosystem, where we basically covered the foundational things you have to know as a founder, how to generate startup ideas, and also how to validate and launch an MVP. And for day two, we spoke about co founders' relations and team building, where we covered things you have to note when onboarding, when looking for a co-founder, okay, how to set up your founding team, and more or less how to manage conflict when it comes to the founding team and your co-founder. So for day three, we will be talking about everything legal, okay, and just like you have heard two people talk about our today's trainer in lengthy words. I think yesterday Emmanuel did an introduction on our trainer for today, and yeah, so that should tell you the capacity of who is coming in to take the session for today. Okay, so over to you, Karen. Okay, so remember, if you have any questions, feel free to um, note them down or jot them down in the comment section. And when it's time for Q&A, she would be able to take all of those. So, Karen, over to you. Mhm.
Evening. I don't know if we're supposed to turn on our videos for this call. I think it adds the personal touch. Um, Hi, Sukaribo, please. Our video is supposed to be turned on for this call.
Um, for day one, our videos were actually turned on. For day two, it was partially. So it's up to you. Anyone you want us to do, and
So
then
for day three, please can we turn on our videos?
okay. So please turn on your videos.
No, thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm honestly not looking out for your background to be honest. Yeah, just it's just nice to see the people that I'm speaking with. Okay, someone's got blue lights on. Nice. Okay, okay, so first things first, the reason why I actually joined at 7, but then I saw some people had their note takers on, and for calls that I get on, if I'm not notified ahead of time of a note taker being present on the call, I don't join the call, or I ask that it be taken down. Um, I'm sure you guys can already tell that I'm already acting like a lawyer. Don't worry, this is not the everyday me. So if the others can turn on their video as well, that would be great. So first things first, I just want to know, or this is the second thing actually, I want to know the business that each person is running, so that when we're speaking about this, it would be more tailored to your business. Because I can see I received a sheet of various founders joining this call, um, and honestly, it's a very long list. So I just need to have on the call and we can proceed. So let's start with Robin Vic. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, you did. All right. Good evening, everyone.
Hi, good
I hope
evening.
everyone can hear me. Okay. So my name is Ayola Victor, known as Robin Big. So my startup idea is a research and consultancy firm actually. We deal with carrying out research and helping people to actualize their research, like whatever the outcome is, then we help them implement it. So that's basically the summary of the startup.
Research and consultancy, thanks. Um, so we can move on to Jedidiah.
Okay, good evening. Okay, so my startup idea, so it's basically an edtech, and we try to like So basically, platform that connects students to university with tutors. Can you guys hear me? Okay, so we try to like bridge the gap between student universities and trying to like get affordable tutors while still like getting everything they want out of it compared to the traditional tutoring in the university.
Okay, so when I look down, I'm taking down notes. um, right. So can we go to Abubakar?
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Abubakar, and I'm the founder of Paywave, payment solution, which we actually plan to take
Paywave.
up. Yeah, yeah. We actually plan to make it in a way that will render POS terminal useless. So
Oh,
that's what
doing
we are.
what?
We are building a payment solution whereby you don't need POS terminal to be charged.
Okay, thank you, Abubakar. So the next person is Mohammed. Mohammed, we can't see you. And Abubakar, I can't see you again.
Actually, I'm in Nigeria. There's no light.
Don't worry, it's fine. You'll find a way.
Okay, you still want to see me?
Yes. Don't worry, we all know
Um,
the state of the nation.
all right. Let me put on my lamp.
Thank
But I'm
you.
just coming in.
Thank
I
you.
don't know what's actually happening
Okay, so just let me know what you're building currently.
currently.
Yes.
Um, I presently I don't think we have anything right now, but we are actually working towards starting our cohort at our tech hub in Ilorin at Quaggy Resources. So that will be this month, inshallah. And then I think that's what we have on table for now. And then we run a co-working space for workers that would like to make use of um, a place for them to work. It's uninterrupted power supply and a conducive environment. I think that will be all from my end.
Okay, great. Um, so there's a okay. Mohammed just spoke. Mohammed, you're next.
Oh, there's another Mohammed.
Okay, good evening,
Yes, there
everyone.
is. Hi, good
Mm.
evening.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I'm a founder of Shara, the clean tech, kind of a waste management system where user can request for, should I say, agents, those that recycle. We onboard them, and then whenever you have recyclable materials, you just get in touch with them.
Okay, that's nice. Babajide, hi Babajide. I think you just joined. So uh, everyone is pretty much listing what they're currently building. Can you tell us what you're building? But please, can you turn on your video? Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, Karen. Good evening, everyone. I won't be able to turn on my video right now because of my location. I just saw the notification, so I had to join the call because I didn't want to
Mhm.
miss any session. And from yesterday, uh, I've forgotten his name, but he said we must
Emmanuel, I
try.
think.
Emmanuel, yeah, that we should try and join today. And what's being discussed today, we're really going to learn enough from Karen. So I didn't want to miss it. I had to join. So sorry, I won't be able to share my turn on my video right now. But
Okay,
concerning
no
what
worries.
I'm building, okay, concerning what I'm building, my co-founder, she's not here yet, but Adiola. So we are building Asset 234, which is a property tech. It's a management system for real estate firms, and we are currently at the MVP stage. So When we saw this program, she sent me the details about this program, and I felt, especially the fundraising and the fundraising aspect and the legal aspect, which you anchored on. I'm actually very interested in it because, as a co-founder of Asta 234, I'm also saddled with the responsibilities of raising fund and the business aspects, so to say. So that's just basically what we are working on right now.
Thanks, Babajide. So the next person is Sagir.
Hello,
Mohammed.
Karen. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Sagir.
It's good to see you guys.
I
And
can't
then I'm
see
sorry
you.
I joined.
We can't see you.
Okay. Okay. Let me share my video.
Thank you.
So it's good to see you people. And then I believe my founder here, one of the co-founders, Abakar, has already spoken because
Oh, okay.
I saw that he was here before me. So I'm a co-founder for Paywave.
Okay. All right. Great. So we have a research and consultancy business. We have edtech. We have fintech, waste management, and prop tech. Okay, great. So let us begin. So my name is Karen. Essentially, what I do on a day-to-day basis is pretty much work with a lot of startups because that's something that I'm passionate about. I believe that startups contribute to the economic growth and sustainable development of Africa as a whole. The products and services that startups render pretty much make people's lives easier. And I understand that as founders, again, a lot of founders, their goal is to generate profit. Also, a lot of founders, just want to contribute to the society, wellness of people, wellness of communities, etc. Either way, whatever prompted your decision to set up a product or deliver a service is all good and fine. If it's for profit making or for contributing to society's growth, that's all good and fine. So the first thing first in setting up a business, right? So we're not going to call it a startup. Let's take out that from the mix. Let's call it a business, a venture, right? The first thing in setting up a business, really, which I believe that a lot of you or all of you must have done, is research into the industry that you're delving into, right? Depending on the country that you want to do your business in, and we're going to use Nigeria as the case study. So the first thing is to carry out that research. The reason why you need to do that is because how ideas work generally, it's pretty much, oh, you sit down and you have this eureka moment and you want to build something. But if you're not equipped with information about the industry that you're building in, right, that building journey can be cut short, can just be truncated somewhere. And you'd find that you would have lost, obviously, your time, your efforts, the time of your team, money as well, right? From different stakeholders that you had put into the business, you'd have lost all of those things. In some situations, you might be able to remedy it, but even at that, remedy as well comes at a cost. So when people approach me and they're like, I want to start up a business. I've been thinking about this and I think it's going to be great, right? I want to start up a fintech business. Fintech is what's making the rounds now. Plus, I mean, the likes of Paystack and Flutterwave, they cannot cater to every Nigerian, and they can't cater to every African. I mean, to be honest, that's very valid, right? But when you want to start out something, the first question is, okay, how am I going to build this? Am I well equipped to build a product? Am I well equipped to run the business in the right direction? Am I well equipped to get the right partners, stakeholders, etc. on board? When you have that conversation with yourself, I mean, if you have it honestly, then you know that I'm actually a great business guy. Like, I know I know what it is to move a business from point A to point B, but like to build that product now, I'm probably going to need someone more technical that can actually build a product. Now, from thinking in this direction, you're already thinking about getting a co-founder, right? And it might not necessarily even be a co-founder. It could just be a part of your founding team, right? That you want to get on board. Now, one thing that I've seen happen is you have people that start businesses together and they don't obviously continue that journey together. In some situations, business partners will pull out of the business deal and they would either go and set up a competing business venture, right? Or they would probably move on to other things in their lives and all of that. And obviously, your own dreams are truncated, and then you have to find someone else and all those kind of things. The truth about business is it's a very uncertain environment and things change. So, first things first, you definitely need to think about setting up or drafting and executing your founders agreement. Now, the founders agreement, what does it do? As the name implies, it's pretty much for founders, right? The founders of a business come together and they agree to certain terms. Oh, this is how much equity founder A is going to have. This is how much equity founder B is going to have, right? Founder A is going to handle this role and responsibility within the company, right? This equity is going to vest for this period of time, right? In the event that founder B probably acts in so and so manner, this is how we're going to dissolve the relationship with founder B. These are the benefits that come to founder B if the relationship is dissolved, under so and so circumstances. Excuse me, please. I quickly had dinner before this call. So it pretty much highlights your agreement with your founders. The reason why this is important is because, and some of you might have contrary opinions, but from experience and practice, money always causes a rift. The same thing as power. You see situations where two people came together, they probably raised so and so amount of money. The next thing you hear is they're having issues with their founder or their co-founder rather. They're having so and so issues as it pertains to equity stake or as it pertains to how much they've raised and all of that. And these issues, right? I'm not saying that having a founders agreement will prevent them from arising. No. But having a founders agreement would help you with your resolve of the issue. Because the agreement will state out clearly, this is what is supposed to happen should so and so happen. This is how you'd approach so and so between these co-founders, right? Which makes it easy. The issue arose. I'll probably start telling Jedediah that, but we agreed that I'll collect 60%. Now you agree you take 25 and all of that. Jedediah will say no. I didn't say that. I did not say. These are the issues that arise when you don't have a document, an agreement highlighting in detail what is supposed to happen in certain situations. Now, the next thing is so a company, right? A company is a legal person, just like myself and yourself. We're human beings, right? And so a company is viewed as that, but they use legal person. It's a person, but a legal person, which means that a company can do business by itself. It can transact, it can take loans, it can employ people, it can do all sorts of things. Now, the reason why this is possible is because once registered, right, a company, comes alive. The people that act on behalf of the company are pretty much, the directors, the board of directors, right? But even before we get to discussing about a company, some businesses, the first thing is knowing how to register or knowing what kind of business route you want to take. Some people would set up businesses that are just fine with just having a business name, right? Some people's businesses will work better with being a company on its own. Some people's businesses will work better with being a partnership, right? But these different types of business entities obviously have, different benefits or disadvantages, right? Now, a business name, you can actually have, like a business account right? But can you take certain kind of loans? What is the cap on the kind of loans that you can take? Will your investors feel safe registering, investing in startup startup tribe business with business registration number BN80 yada yada yada? A business name does not come with shares that investors can hold on to. So if you go with a business name, your investors will not want to invest in you. A partnership, on the other hand, as the name implies, is just like a group of people coming together to form a partnership, right? Now, with a partnership, of course, you can set up your business account, you can take loans, you can trademark and do all sorts of things like a company would, right? But again, how do you structure the equity holding of the partnership? A lot of investors are not trying to come into your business as a partner. No, 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 no. Investors, if I'm an angel investor, all I want to do is give you money. But I'm going to figure it out by yourself. All I want to know is that at some point I'm going to, start receiving dividends. That's all I want to know. However you want to structure the business is your business. Even if I'm a venture capital, right? If I a VC coming to invest money in you, my own is okay within 5 to 7 years. I need my returns. In a partnership, the partners are the ones who make the decisions for the business. If there were any liabilities that occurred during the business going on, the partners are the ones that will suffer for it. Like they would call them, okay, partner A, partner B, this is what you're going to have to pay for so and so and all of that. But with a company, because a company is its own legal person, a company can sue and it can be sued. So if I were an investor now, I come to to your business and I see you have a company, your company has, let's say, 10 million shares. I probably want to maybe buy 500,000 shares, through my investment. That's much easier. When something goes wrong, the investor will be suing the company, right? Not the founders, not the directors. They'll be suing the company. With everything in law, there are always exceptions. There are exceptions as to when the investor can sue a director, can sue a founder, etc. There are always exceptions. My point is, a company itself is a legal person and can transact on its own. It can do business on its own. It can give out shares. It can buy back its shares, etc. So for many of the businesses that have been listed today, I'll tell you for a fact, straight up, you definitely need to register a limited liability company, because they're different types, right? The company limited by shares, there's a company limited by guarantee, etc. But you definitely need a limited liability company if you're going to operate in Nigeria. Now, in setting up a company, I've seen people probably just go and register a company with 500,000 shares. Some people go and register with 1 million shares, right? But every industry has its requirements. And a lot of the time, right? I mean, I've probably gone to register 1 million shares. Now I'm trying to get a particular license to help me operate. I'm then seeing that one of the recommendations or requirements, one of the requirements is that I have to have 10 million shares, and then my eyes are opening wide like Poppy. That's exactly what happens. There's a client that I have that, registered with 1 million shares. I didn't know this client at the time they did that, right? And, we're getting ready to obtain a particular license, to procure a particular license for this client. And I'm like, wait, let's even go through their status reports, because that's what will show. The status reports and the memos would show the details on the number of shares held by the company. And I'm seeing 1 million shares. I'm like, 1 million shares, Bao, to do what? Are you aware of the kind of license you want to get? So I'll give an example. Like, maritime entities require 25 million shares, right, to be able to operate. But a lot of people will probably go and register 500,000 shares and say, okay, now I have a company, I'm a CEO. That's all that matters. The question is, to operate as a maritime company, there are several licenses that you need to procure. When it gets to that point, you're pretty much going to have to start again from the beginning, because you're going to need to upgrade your shares, the number of shares held by the company. You'd have to go from your 500,000 to 25 million shares, because it is not until you meet that requirement that you'll be able to procure the license. And of course, there are other requirements as well that you must meet to get certain licenses. So, having said that, I would go to a much more better structure, right? First thing first is sort out your relationship with your co-founders. The second one is choose the best entity that works for you, right? And comply with CAC's requirements, as well as the Company and Allied Matters Act, CAMA 2020. In registering a company, right, that you're going to be asked questions like who the company secretary is. Essentially, this person can either be a lawyer, a chartered accountant, and what their duty really is to ensure that you're keeping up to date with your books at the CAC, because there are certain requirements. CAC would require you to file annual returns. I mean, I don't know if any of you saw this publication by CAC sometime towards the end of last year, where they were saying companies that had not filed their annual returns would be struck off the list, right? What that means is once they're struck off, let's say you were trading under the name of, what will I use? Helia Nigeria Limited, and you've not been paying, you've not been filing annual returns. Once CAC strikes it off, someone else can go and use the name Helia Nigeria Limited, because now the name is in the public domain. Whatever you've done with the business, that's your business. You just didn't comply. There are also other requirements as well, updating the members of your company. So an example would be, let's say there are new members of the board. You definitely need to update the CAC about that. There's a change of address and all those kind of things. These are details that need to, be updated at the CAC. I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, we had this client that wanted to diversify his income and put some money here and there. And I got this intro to in quote a reputable investment company. And of course, as lawyers, you can call us stuck up, it's fine, but we have to be stuck up for a reason, because we have to protect our clients' interest. And so, of course, we're not just going to do intros and say, okay, yeah, meet these people. And no, we can't do that. So we did our due diligence, and this reputable investment company had not filed annual returns for about 4 years prior to the date that we had checked. And that's a red flag. You're an investment company. You want people to bring their money to you, but you're not even staying compliant. So how do we trust that funds that are remitted to you will be managed properly when you're not even complying with the most basic requirement at the CAC? It's obviously a red flag, and we couldn't go ahead with that. And we raised it. We said, look, this is exactly why we're a bit skeptical with going ahead with your business. If you can file your annual returns for the preceding 4 years, and you get back to us and inform us, showing sufficient proof that you have done this, then we'll be very much happy to proceed. But if you're not filing your annual returns, then there must be something going on in the background. It's either you're trying to not attest to the amount of profits you're making and your tax payments and all of that, or there's something else. There's something fishy going on there. But we just couldn't go ahead with them because we're giving them our terms to proceed with them. So these are some of the things to look out for. Now, each entity, or rather each industry, has their own peculiar licenses, right? And there are regulations that bind various industries. That's what will show that yes, this company operates in this industry, that company operates in that industry. And there are some requirements that cut across every industry that you come across. One of it is pretty much the registration. Company registration is actually a regulatory compliance step to take. The second one is tax remittance. Very, very important. And whenever this conversation comes up, there's so many people, and honestly, I understand your concerns. I've had people say, what is Nigeria doing for me that, I'm paying tax and all of that. I totally understand your concern. But then again, when you look at the bigger picture, if you don't pay your tax, you're already, you're in default. That's definitely it. And what's happen is when the FIRS is after you for tax payments and all of that, they will definitely come after you. It's just a question of time, right? And I've also been in certain situations where, I've seen some people, they've said to me, oh yeah, very confidently, I've been paying my tax. When I was working at so and so, I was paying my tax. I'm like, oh really? How did you know? Well, my employer said they were paying my tax for me. I said, okay, good, all good and fine. And there was a very silly situation where this person was supposed to be relocating, right? And one of the requirements from the entity that was supposed to provide the sponsorship was to see proof of tax payment, right, for 3 years prior. And, this person's like, yes, now I was employed, they were paying my taxes. And I said, so how were you following up with this? The beautiful thing about Lagos State is at least you have your own tax identification number, so you can go on your portal and log in and all of that. But this person wasn't. And when it mattered most, proof couldn't be provided, because when this person reached out to the previous employers, they couldn't provide proof of tax payment. They were just remitting money from the salary but not actually paying any tax, right? And it was going to be a very terrible situation if the person had missed the opportunity to, in quote, japa. So tax payment is definitely important. Now, thankfully, the Nigerian government allows for 18 months tax-free period for new entities, which makes logical sense. Because when you start a business, you're honestly, you might not break even within the first 3 years, if we're being very honest, right? Yes, you might make some profits here and there, but you might not necessarily break even. And even as you make profits as well, like, new businesses, or you're trying to plow back this profit for so and so purpose, you're trying to do this and make ends meet and all of that, totally makes sense. And so the requirements for tax payment from the moment you register is pretty much extended for an 18 months period where you're sort of tax free, but is on certain grounds. You have to pay your stamp duty, tax and all of that upon registration for you to qualify for that, but it's still a good thing. Moving on, please give me a second. Yes, moving on, you then start to think about okay, let me quickly run down some of the statutory compliance. So we have obviously complying with CAMA. We have complying with the Startup Acts. Are you familiar with the Startup Acts? You can just wave of hands if you're familiar with it. There's a startup. Oh, okay, great. Jedediah is aware. So thankfully, we got a Startup Act when. Pardon?
I'm not aware of it.
Oh, okay. So after this session, please go and look it up. It came out in, I think it was October 2022.
Okay.
Well, in 2024, right? October 2022, thereabouts. So it pretty much stipulates the number of. If someone does not muted, it stipulates the number of years for an entity to be viewed as a startup. It speaks about the startup badge as well. So definitely look through that, because even running an entity, you definitely need to be compliant to even be able to access certain startup grants by the Nigerian government. The company has to be below 10 years of age. Ownership in the entity, 65% ownership must be from a Nigerian. Yes, because I understand that people have, foreign co-founders and all of that. Yes, 65% ownership. Yeah, must be from a Nigerian. The rest you can share it with whomever you want to share it with outside Nigeria. But the goal there really is to establish that startup as a Nigerian-owned entity, right? Another thing to look at, I've spoken about tax laws. Another thing as well is employment laws and data protection laws in Nigeria. So when we speak about, yes, there's the Labor Act that stipulates everything around employees and what their benefits are and all of that. It even says to, they should be provided with, things like HMO, life assurance coverage, etc., right? Or group life coverage and all of that. Pension, yeah. It's very good to be familiar with this because I understand that some employers in Nigeria take advantage of the fact that the unemployment rate is high, right? And it's the whole thing of where you see where there's, or you give someone an inch and they take a mile or whatever that's called. But the truth is, if you're not staying compliant with these laws, there are definitely going to be problems, right? With regards to the data protection laws in Nigeria, I think there's an entity, Paywave. They're definitely going to be taking people's information. So you see, you and data protection, people must be 5 and 6. There is the EdTech entity as well. So any business that you're on that deals with taking people's information, even if it's something as little as just their name or their date of birth, right? You definitely must be compliant. Now, people say, oh, how can I be compliant? When you go on websites, you probably see things like terms and conditions, privacy policy, cookie policy, etc. Now, these are ways to actually try and stay compliant, right? Under your privacy policy, what kind of information are you taking from your users? This must be stated expressly, because the goal really is for people to come on your product or your website and know the extent to which you would be taking their information. There's one thing to request for it and take it. There's another thing for you to store it. There's also, another thing for you to either sell the information or share it and all of that, right? These must be stated explicitly in your privacy policy, because before I say, yes, I want to use your product, I must have seen that, oh, wait, so you take my details and share it with third party for what, right? The reason why you have to put these things on your product, your website, is because you want to let people know, you want to inform them as much as possible, and you also want to limit your liability as much as possible. Now, for Paywave, I don't know if you're building the app from scratch or if you're going to integrate some payment processors, etc. Now, in situations like that, right, you can only limit yourself to the best of your capability. If a third-party platform is taking certain information because you have integrated with them, right? You obviously cannot be held liable for what they are doing with the information that they take from your platform, but you can limit yourself, right? And you have to make it very clear with things like, we use a third-party processor -- to collect payments on our behalf, which will be processed on our platforms. For more information on their yada yada yada, you add a hyperlink to their website so that people can go there and read and understand, right? If you don't do that, then you're assuming all of the responsibility and liability, stating that you're the one that's taking the information, you're the one that's storing it, you're the one that's using it, things like this. I don't know if you're aware of when Arik, there's a time some years back, Arik had this issue where they had leaked, or rather, data of their customers, were leaked, right? Email addresses, card details, etc., were leaked, and it was a very, very, very big issue for Arik. I don't think they're able to bounce back from that, because I know Arik used to operate international flights to the US, etc., but then after some time they stopped, and currently the Amcon has taken over the operations. But then again, yes, the Nigerian government is very big on data protection and privacy laws, and most importantly, at a time like this, when we've had so many issues with people stealing someone's identity or people scamming other people, you definitely want to be sure that you're not trying. I mean, you can't start a business and then tomorrow they've come to serve you that, oh, I'm going to see you in court and things like that. You definitely don't want to do that. So staying compliant as much as possible is your own way, is your own little way of giving yourself that clarity that you need to even run the business, right? To steer the ship in the right direction. If you had to be summoned every other day for one legal issue or the other, you would get frustrated. Your investors would lose trust in you, right? Nobody probably would want to be associated with your brand. And there are a couple of others like that that have, fallen through the cracks because they were not compliant enough. There are some that are still getting dragged in the media today for one issue or the other. Investors have lost their trust and their confidence in these businesses. And again, like investors, your shareholders. So when I say investors, I'm referring to the shareholders. Your shareholders pretty much are the backbone of the business, right? They're the ones that believe in your business. Yes, your customers, the people whom you serve, are definitely they're very important because they keep your business going. But imagine having a major shareholder pull out of your entity because they don't want again. They're like, this business is bringing me too many issues. Like it's supposed to bring me money, but today one issue, tomorrow another issue. So these are definitely things to look out for. And I would like to end on my conversation around compliance with, it's cheaper to stay compliant from the beginning. When you're looking to make a public offering, so when you get to the IPO stage and you've approached the Securities and Exchange Commission, there's so many documents they're going to ask for, so many informations as well. If you are not compliant from the get-go, when you get to the IPO stage, it's going to be super expensive. And let me even be very frank with you. If there's any business that did not comply from the beginning, you then come and meet me that I should come and remedy the situation and be using needle and thread to stitch it together when we have reached sec. Wow. I will just be dancing that today is my lucky day. Because I'll be very straight with you. Like when it gets to that point, it can be very rigorous to remedy. They say prevention is better than cure. And the fees as well, the legal fees attached to that remedy, they're usually very high. So it's now a thing of, had I known, I wish I had, but it's already too late, right? That's also why you see some businesses that have gone on for some years, they still haven't IPO'd yet. They've gotten to that point, but they haven't, because there's so many things that they need to do in terms of staying compliant. They need to dot their I's and cross their T's and all sorts of things. They need to get themselves in order, because if they don't get themselves in order, SEC would easily fish them out, and that's a new problem entirely, right? Because again, if someone probably places like a red mark on your head, wherever you are, the person can always spot you. So even when you go and you come back, you've remedied the situation, you then come back, they say, it's not you that we gave red dots. Oh yeah, come, bring all your documents. They begin to scrutinize it because, from the get-go, you weren't compliant. And so now they've pretty much marked you. And they're like, if this person comes back again, we need to be very thorough with the application. Because again, imagine if, the Securities and Exchange Commission was found to not be credible. That would be a really, really messy situation for a lot of the entities that have listed their stocks on the exchange. So this is definitely something to pay close attention to. In terms of regulatory compliance, for fintechs, you definitely have the Banks and Other Financial Institution Acts. You have your Cyber Crimes Act as well, because cybercrime issues are a very, very big deal in Nigeria at the moment. For edtechs, you have your National Policy on Education, 2013, and a couple of other statutory frameworks as well. Again, for specifically to the edtech, right? And not just, in general, if you are running a business, right, where minors will be able to have access to your platform, I believe that for fintechs, like minors definitely wouldn't have access to your platform. It has to be 18 and above. But for edtechs, we've seen situations where 16-year-olds are at university, 15-year-olds are at university, 17, right? These people are below the legal age in Nigeria, which is 18, right? And you obviously cannot tell them, go away, I won't serve you because you are 16. They are 16, but they're in second year. Do you want to beat them? They definitely want your services, right? So in situations like this, you definitely need to take into consideration that such persons can never give consent, which means that in that situation, you need to make provision for either their legal guardian or their parents to give consent on their behalf that, oh, I'm authorizing my child to use your platform to access tutors while they're at university, etc. Right? Yeah, that's definitely one for the EdTech entity to take back. So moving on, and please pause me if I'm going too fast. Please pause me if I'm going too fast. I know we still have some time, about an hour and 8 minutes. So moving on, right? A business on its own is, like I said, the company is a legal person, right? One thing, and I'm sure the marketers will speak about this, right? But businesses have their own brands, or rather, what we've seen, over decades now is a business having a brand of its own. I mean, when you mention Victoria's Secret, that's a brand on its own. When you mention Tesla, that's a brand on its own. When you mention even StartupTrybe, that's a brand on its own. In fact, if you even mention me, I'm a brand on my own. Yeah. But the thing about brands is you guard your brand jealously, because you don't want a situation where maybe your brand is associated with something bad, something not nice, something that could actually affect your brand. I know in this day and age, everybody's like, every publicity is good publicity. Again, I will leave that for the marketers to come and argue that one. But when it comes to protecting what comes out of your brand, right, this is where you then speak about intellectual property. So just like how you have property, land, that's somebody's property. Intellectual property is what your mind has created. So the edtech entity, your mind has come up with that. How do you protect this? You're thinking about trademarking your name. There's probably going to be a slogan. Maybe let's see what the slogan can be. Let's see. Affordable tutors on the go. That could be your slogan, right? And you come up with that. Pay with the payment solution. That name alone is already, it needs to be trademarked, because you want people to know that name. When you register the entity at the CAC, right, it could either be Paywave Nigeria Solution Limited, one very long name like that. Before, I would have even said this, my mouth is spinning me. But when you say Paywave, just like how you have Flutterwave or you have Paystack, these names just register in your mind, right? You don't need to know whatever they are registered at CAC. That's not your business. It only come in handy when you're trying to maybe sign an agreement with them or whatever. But just that name alone, that's all you need. Or when you think about Virgin, the phone, the BT broadband company, the airline company, and all the other businesses. But that name Virgin is that's just it. That's what people see. That's what people remember. The how it's written, trademarked. The name itself, trademarked. The color of the red, trademarked. Whatever slogan they have, trademarked. The reason why people take such extra steps to do that is because they have worked now. They have come up with that creative idea. And the thing about ideas is the way you're thinking about it here. Someone else, probably on your street, let's not even go too far, probably on your street is thinking about it, right? How do you then set apart your business from another business? How do you ensure that someone is not going to come under the name Virgin and be using it to get customers? You won't know the person is using your name. Oh, don't you know that I'm the acting CEO of Virgin? Of course, just do business with us. Don't worry, we're legit. These are some of the issues that happen, like in the business space. Now, if the fake Virgin goes and commits a crime or does something illegal, it's going to affect the image of the original Virgin, whether you like it or not. And marketers are so amazing that they've changed every publicity to good publicity, which is good for them. But you still want to be able to limit these issues. Where us lawyers come in is you look for our client's trouble, we look for your trouble back. You infringe on our rights, we will finish you with. By the time we slam you with so many lawsuits, our client will be smiling to the bank. Us still be following our client. Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go. That's exactly what happens. So the reason why you protect your IP is you definitely want to get, for financial reasons, and let's be very plain, there's a financial reason, there's the that which is the economic, right? And then there's the acknowledgement reason, where you want to be acknowledged for the work that you have done, which is why when you're probably writing an article and you probably read a book or you read a couple of other articles, you have to reference it. If you were going to use someone's trademark to do business, you have to seek a license from them, or else don't use it. Because the amazing thing, and I'll even tell you what I even tell my clients, if I see someone infringing any of my clients' intellectual property, I just tell them, wait, don't be in a hurry. They will blow now. When they blow, you go after them. You're not going to chase a rat. No. You wait for when it has turned to big bushmeat, then you go after them. And that's exactly what happens. If you look at the pharmaceutical industry, there's so many people that make the drug paracetamol. But there's probably an entity that holds the patent over that, which brings me to so trademark is to protect your brand, right? Copyright is to protect, literary works, artistic works, such as your painting, music, even down to, source code, the code for a particular program. Yes, you can actually copyright it. Then we talk about patents. Ooh, that's the cash cow. But all the others are cash cows. Will just wait first. Just be praying, let them infringe it. Then you benefit from it. But the reason why I call patents cash cows is because if you look at the pharmaceutical industry, a lot of entities, right? A source of revenue for them is a patent that they hold. So just holding the patents to maybe the vaccine, exactly the COVID vaccine. We have like different types of this vaccine. Holding that patent, right? What it means is if another company wants to probably reproduce the same vaccine, right? They want to sell it. All good and fine. No, I'm not greedy. All you need to do is come and seek license from me, the patent holder, to be able to produce that vaccine. So do you see, I'm holding the patent. I'm producing my own vaccines. But maybe Pfizer wants to produce their own vaccine. Pfizer will have to come and meet me, Karen Pharmaceuticals, that, we heard that you guys hold the patents to, let's say, COVID never 01. We need license. I'll then tell them, well, I'm happy to give you a license that will just cover 2 years of production. But my legal team has said I should place it at so and so. Rather, my strategy team said we should place it at this, or this team said we should place it at that. So we're going to be charging you guys $50 million to use our license for 2 years. That's a source of revenue, right? But the thing about patents is patents are only given for new and novel inventions, right? So either an invention that from the get-go to the end, it's new, or you've probably taken up someone else's invention, but the end product is entirely new. Like how you can solve a mathematical equation with a whole new formula and get to a different solution, or you can solve with an existing formula and get to a different solution. So something like that. That's how patents work. Now we have trade secrets. Trade secrets actually come under IP. So trade secrets are pretty much, confidential information that's pretty much help your business move forward. I don't know if you're aware of the Coca-Cola ingredients that they said nobody knows about, and that no two Coca-Cola whatever person flies on the same aircraft and all those kind of things. Now, they might be conspiracy theories. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, with Coca-Cola, right? That's ingredient is a trade secret, because that's exactly what's keeping their business going, right? If it gets released to the public domain, my dear, the versions of Coca-Cola that you see, because even now, as it is now, maybe they said that so many fake products are in Nigeria. Now that this thing has not even entered public domain, you can already see replicas here and there. Then imagine when it gets into the public domain, their competitor, Pepsi, if I'm the CEO, I will use that information, and I will remodify it, and then I will beat Coca-Cola very well. But these are things that happen, which is why you find that before people get into any business deal, right, they're very particular about their non-disclosure agreements. In employment contracts, they're very particular about their non-disclosure, their confidential information clause. They're very, very particular about these things. Very, very important to look out for, because again, you definitely don't want what you have toiled day and night to come up. You've thought about strategies, you've had conversation with advisor A, mentor B, this one, that one, only for this thing to get out there, and it definitely would shake the profitability of your business, or at least it would pretty much open the floodgates for competitors to enter the market. We have geographical indications. So these are pretty much IP rights that stem from a particular area. So let's say, what can I use now? There's a particular yam or so that's grown in a particular western state in Nigeria. Now imagine if I took that yam and I made something out of it. Maybe I made yam chips, or I made some skincare products from it and all of that. I would definitely, in addition to trademarking, right, I'll probably even want to copyright the notes that I have that I used to come up with, how to make the skincare product from the yam, maybe from the liquid from the yam or whatever. I would also be going for geographical indications, stating that this product comes from so and so hometown in so and so place, right? Tying that product to that area. And then we have industrial design. So those are pretty much, excuse me, please. So those are pretty much, as the name implies, it's for either like 3D designs, your lights, how the lights are designed, and all those kind of things. The household materials typically come under these designs, but for the kind of space that you operate in, your copyrights, your trademark, your patents, and your trade secrets, very, very, very important for you to look out for them. Now, one final thing about intellectual property rights is it's a first come, first serve basis. It's not, but I knew your father that knew my mother that then knew the mother that mothered my mother. Sorry about that. If you come to the table late, nothing for you. So it's pretty much who, files first that priority is given to. Even if maybe you filed first, and then I then went and I then told them that, but I know your mother now, the mother that mothered our mother. I know her. And then the person there was like, that's true. My town sister. Oh yeah, come, I'll give it to you. That's not how it works. Even if they give me a certificate, right, confirming, the ownership of that IP of that IP title, the rule is very simple. It's on a first come, first serve basis, and IP rights are geographical, right, or jurisdictional. So I apply for IP here in Nigeria. That's exactly where I hold it. It does not extend to Ghana. It does not extend to Togo. It doesn't. Even if my product is being used there, for me to hold the same, rights in such countries where my product is being used, then of course I need to go and apply in those regions. But if you have plenty money, you then approach the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO. So WIPO has, I think it's about 193 member states, if I'm not mistaken. And what happens is when you apply at WIPO, your coverage extends to the member states at WIPO. All right, extends to the member state WIPO, and you can go and domesticate them there, but that coverage covers all the member states. Now, there was something that happened last year. We had this WIPO issue where a very big company in Europe had sued or made a complaint against our clients. And the big boys, they like to back because they have big teeth. Say, no problem. These guys, made a claim saying that our clients had infringed on, their intellectual property, this and that, because because they felt like since them they are big, they can try and come and oppress small people. So okay, oh, no problem now. Maybe you have gone to go and drag us in the public. We too will go and drag you back. No problem. And what happened is I don't think they understood fully how WIPO coverage works, right? And you're coming to approach an entity in Nigeria and you're saying that this entity has infringed on your rights and all of that. Oh, you're come and show proof now. You did not, you have that right that you think you have in Europe, it doesn't extend here to Nigeria. You probably just did one country and then you felt like you are riding on top of the moon. Okay, sorry ma, sorry sir. But like, so these are some of the things to take into consideration with like IP rights. We definitely won that. We won the case. They felt silly, they apologized, but I mean it was too late. They had already caused the trouble, but they didn't want to. I think how they saw it was is probably maybe this bullying culture or something, I don't know, or maybe not just even regarding us as Nigerians or whatever. And they obviously had wasted their money because again we still won. And the takeaway from that really is they did not have any protection in Nigeria to give them the right to say that a Nigerian entity was infringing on their IP rights. It's a different situation if it was being infringed in the jurisdiction where they have protection, but your protection in country A does not give you protection in country B unless you've done that through WIPO, and that wasn't the case. And so their claim was dead on arrival. It was very funny to see anyways, because again, so moving on, we then have fundraising and investments. I'm just going to quickly run through the various ways. The most common one, friends and families, FFF, friends, family, and fools. And I'm sure you guys know this one because when you guys start out, a lot of people that are going to approach you be your friends or your family or the fools that would actually want to invest in your business. They're called fools because, I mean, it's an early stage business and they're really taking that leap of faith and trusting in your venture. But they're not fools if you're putting in the work. There's obviously bootstrapping as well, which is pretty much founders covering their own costs. There's the angel investment. I'd mentioned that earlier. So an angel investor, one of the downsides of this is they may not be typically invested in your startup. All they do is just bring money in terms of probably doing intros and probably getting on one-on-one calls with you. They may not have that time, right? And then you have, your loan facility, which is pretty much what you can take from banks. So some banks have some loans for early stage businesses. You can definitely get a loan from them. There are some collaterals that are required anyways. And I'm personally biased towards bank loans, to be very, very honest, but please don't ask me why. What else? So we have crowdfunding. Pretty much, so there are crowdfunding platforms, where people like help to raise money and all of that. So things like what's this popular one called? GoFundMe. Good. So we have venture capital, which is actually very popular now in Nigeria. You have a lot of VCs investing in startups in Nigeria, and this is pretty much the American model, the Silicon Valley model. With VCs, you definitely get that. You get that support, you get that sense of support. If you choose the right VC, you get that sense of support because, again, they want you to make money for them and they want to get you to that point where you can generate their income, or else it's going to be considered sunk cost. You also have incubator stroke accelerator. I think someone mentioned that they have a tech hub in Ilorin. Yes, I believe that you're probably structuring your hub as an incubator. And then you have, the government funding as well, which is pretty much, it's popular in a lot of countries now where the government chooses to fund startups. But something that I want to say about investment or startup investment, and when you're seeking investment, is you have to be very, very careful. I say this because I understand that a lot of early stage founders are just very particular about getting that investment. They want the money. There's so many things to do. You know, of course, you might not be working at the moment, and your startup idea and your startup in general is pretty much all that you're relying on. So you definitely want to get income coming in as much as possible. But again, you don't want to take money that will be very problematic for you. So you hear of investors doing due diligence, DD, investor DD. They'll send you a couple of documents. They want access into your virtual data room to look at what you have in place. And they're very, very big on legal as well. They definitely want to see that you have the right agreements in place with your employees, your partners, service providers, etc. You have your TC, privacy policy, etc. But in as much as they're carrying out due diligence on you, right, the founder and your startup, you also need to carry out due diligence on them. I'll say this because various investors have very amazing deals, and when you look at the figures, okay, Sapa be one wound me before, but with this kind of figure, fit. That's exactly what comes to mind, right? And it's okay if that comes to mind, but you also need to be very careful, because I'll give an example. Let's say I was running an agro-tech startup, right? And a VC that is very popular in the health tech space approached me to invest in me. They're probably going to give me probably 2 million USD at a 20M valuation and all of that. And it's very exciting. 2 million US dollars, or they probably give me 500,000, maybe 100,000, but they're sure dropping money. With that VC, right, that has so much expertise in the health tech space, they don't have expertise they may not have expertise in the agro-tech space. I've probably looked at their partners, I've looked at their profile. I've not seen any of them that has worked in any agro-tech company or whatever. How are they going to help me? How are they going to give me, how are they going to do intros to, from one person to this person, when I'm a bit confused as to the next step to take? Who do I reach out to, right? Which is why you see there are some startups that you see them, they started maybe yesterday and they're growing exponentially. From maybe they probably met this VC and they accepted investment and they're growing. If you check deep, right, you'd see that the VC that invested in them has that understanding and expertise in their space. In terms of intro, the founder will be tired of the amount of teaching that the person has to do, because this VC, they've been there, they've worked in that space, they've created that network, and so they make it easy for the founders. But aside from even the networking that goes down, it's also knowing that during your investor relations, when you're providing your investor reports, when you are clueless about certain things, knowing that you actually have someone that you can reach out to, schedule a meeting with, and say, oh, these are strategies for Q1 and Q2. I'm not sure what to do about this particular one. Can you provide insights? Knowing that you have someone that can actually provide valuable insights. The struggle that person A will be making will not be your own kind of struggles, because now you've paired yourself with people who have invested in your business that have an understanding of your business. And yes, you, the founder, you have your direction that you're heading at, which is amazing. And it's good to stay on track, right? But getting, those inputs here and there from the people who are putting money in your business, you honestly can't compare that to anything, because running the business is as stressful as it gets. And I honestly see entrepreneurs as crazy people. This is not me saying that you're crazy, but it's also good to be crazy, right? It comes with ups and downs, and it takes a very resilient person to be able to navigate, this unstable environment, especially building in Nigeria. So having people that that, okay, yes, if I hit a snag here, I can reach out to investor this, right? Or when I send out my report for Q2, so investor might probably pick up that, oh, there's something here that I need to tweak and all of that. These things are very valuable. They go beyond the money that they're putting in your business, in the sense that support would even help you generate more income, not just for your investors, but also for the business in general. Your business is going to grow. You would pretty much learn more things about acquisition and all of that. And these things are very important. So again, please carry out due diligence on your investors, and do not sign any deal document like that. They'll send you term sheets. yeah, you say term sheet is not legal, but the terms there pretty much was pretty much put in the agreement, in your deal document. Look through it, get a lawyer who is versed in such kind of investments to definitely look through it. They're very, very meticulous. We had a client that a particular big company wanted a, what they call it, a board seat, right? And they were investing a certain amount of money on chicken thing like that. And they wanted a board seat, and they wanted preference shares, and they wanted this one. This is Kukuma, come and cut our neck now. This is what you want. Kukuma, come and cut everything and be going with the head. But these are the kind of things that happen because these guys see it as these early stage founders are desperate, so we can put anything in that term sheet, we can put anything in the deal documents. But please, please, please do not fall into that trap, because what you see now is just it's just a snippet of what the figure that will be shown, much later. So definitely look out for that. Another thing to touch on is, let's see, so stages of funding. I don't know if there's anyone that's going to speak on this, but I'm just going to touch through it. So you have your pre-seed stage, you're trying to hustle from like friends, angel investors, and the rest of that. Come again? Someone said something. Hi, Jago. You have your seed stage, your early stage, mezzanine, late, which is pretty much IPO. But something that investors look out for, right, when they're trying to decide on a business to fund, they're looking out for your business plan. They're looking out for the value proposition. If you're not bringing value to the table, you will not be giving a seat on the table. It's just as simple as that. They're looking out for the product, right? What kind of product are you bringing to the table? They're looking out for like a clear go-to-market strategy, and they're looking out for your management team. And let me just say this, that a lot of investors are very particular about your team. Your product can be amazing. It can be shoot the stars kind of amazing, but they're looking out for the team. The reason why they do this is because a team, if you get the right team of people, right, and you give them a shitty product to work on, they can make that shitty product, forgive my French, they can make that shitty product amazing because there's a synergy. They are dedicated, they are resilient, they are disciplined, they are this and they are that. If you bring a great product and you bring a shitty team, my dear, every day they're going to do bug fixes, no worries. They're just going to run. What?
One of my friends, I think should go with that.
Hi, Mohammed.
Come.
Okay. So yes, investors actually look out for your team, right? It's very, very important to consider the people that you're bringing on board as well. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How does person B supplement or rather complement my weaknesses? How do I complement their own weaknesses? These are things to look out for as well. Moving on from that, okay, I think I've already touched on this. I have tips here as carry out DD on investors and investments, execute the right investment documents, get a startup lawyer to provide legal support through your fundraising round, organize your virtual data room, and keep it updated because investors, oh my goodness, they're very, very keen on seeing this. So I would like to conclude by saying consult a startup lawyer to provide legal support to your team. Due diligence is very important in all the stages that you attain. Very, very important. And just, speaking on due diligence, and please, this is something that I have seen in practice. We had a client who was building for a particular entity and eventually left that entity to, to start up, their own thing. And previous employers reached out saying that they started claiming that, whatever thing he's starting, they hold IP rights over it. Yes. And, we asked to check, the previous employment agreements, and we saw that there were some very funny terms in there. So this is not good practice. This is at all not good practice. But yes, some people will always try to be shady. So even in getting people on board as well, be very, very particular. Try and find out what they have signed prior to joining, the team. The good thing about IP rights is your entity, the company holds the IP rights, right? That is the owner of the IP rights. But you also don't want issues or situations where previous employers are coming to contest the ownership of IP rights and all of that. And a lot of the time, they will not come when you're early stage. Is when you've gone to a certain point, like you have sat down, you have dropped cup, you have relaxed, you have done. That's when they start coming. So definitely look out for this with yourself and your co-founders as well. Be certain what you're going into, so you're not spending so much time exchanging letters between your previous employer and yourself and all of that. It can get hectic. Final tip is establish an open line of communication with regulators. Very, 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 very important. Don't run away from them. They're not bad people. It's very important that you have those conversations with them, have that good rapport with them as well. Personal relationships or great interpersonal skills go a long way, especially in a country like ours, Nigeria. And I cannot stress this enough. So please, please, please maintain that open line of communication. Even if you have someone on your team that handles that, from time to time, you as the founder, you as the CEO, try and maintain that conversation as well. Because again, like people change teams, people leave the entity, but we want to believe that the CEO will be there for at least 5 years before your investors try to unseat you. I'm not saying that they would. But there are some situations where that can happen when they feel like the CEO is not steering the ship in the right direction. So that is what I will leave you all with today. I am happy to take questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Karen. Okay, can we give her a round of applause? Give the smiling emoji and the emoji. Yeah, let's show our love. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so two things. So you can raise up your hand to ask question, or you can drop a question in the comment section. Okay, so remember she's handling everything legal. So ask her all of the questions that you want to ask her. Okay, so while you type in your questions and okay, there are already two ones up. Okay, let me allow them go. So Karen, you can pick which of them you want to take at any point. All right.
Hi, Dominic. Uh, yeah, I'm actually seeing some new names. So can we start with you, Dominic?
All right, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. So like I have a startup idea. Like it's an idea and I already like gathered the team. I'm already building and working on the project. Is more on the health tech side, health tech field, and it's an hospital kind of management system project. So in our plan and building, and because at this phase I try like consulting people and see if we'll get kind of support and fundings, but then like through my knowledge and from what you said today, I kind of confirmed that it's hard to get that funding in the idea phase level, and we need to like develop further to get that. And then but then my main question is licensing, because like our plan for the project, we were like trying to like verify the license of medical practitioners before they get access to use our application, to use the platform. And then I don't know at what stage do we approach like the NMDC that's up like anchors and offers license to medical practitioners to give us like a kind of verification system to input or integrate into our platform in order to verify medical practitioners before they use the platform, because we don't just want any medical practitioners to use the platform. We want only verified and licensed practitioners to use the platform to offer services to patients and stuff. So at what stage of the startup level or the building level should we seek the face of the license body, medical license body of Nigeria, which from my research is the MNDC, to like ask for maybe like a way we can get their verification process and add it to our platform and stuff. I don't know if you get my question.
Okay, I have a question for you. As a true Nigerian that I am, I will ask you back a question. Um, you're running a health tech startup. Do you have any competitors that are doing something similar to what you're doing?
Okay. I've checked. I've made my research. And every startup or every platform I see doing the same thing that we want to do, and not majorly from Nigeria. They are mostly like maybe like a foreign platform offering that services. So I've not seen any Nigeria platform offering that services that we want to offer. But then there was a day where I just like saw myself in an hackathon. I was in my school campus. Then I saw an already were doing a tech this thing. Went into there. It was an hackathon. Then I saw some young DC too like me trying to like an accounting project, and they were kind of trying to do similar thing to what I want to do, but their own is not like broad like the way I want to do. Like me now, my idea is to focus on like all areas for patients and stuff like that. But then is a specified area for just pregnant women. So it's kind of
Okay.
I've not seen any startup or any platform offering what we want to offer from my because I've gone through Google, I've searched and stuff and done
Okay.
that.
All right. The reason why I asked is chances are if there's someone who's already doing it, they've probably done the groundwork for you. And forgive me for laughing, but like um so let's take it one step at a time, right? You said you have your team, amazing. You're currently building, amazing. The reality is you might have to source for this information by yourself, right? In terms of working with doctors, gynecologists that you, I think it's gynecologists, yeah, working with gynecologists and maybe pediatricians or whatever that you currently know and onboarding them on the platform, right? The reason why I say this is because we have a data issue in Nigeria, right, where it's pretty difficult to actually access data. Sometimes a lot of these things are not, it's not like maybe like on the system where you can just maybe you would go did you, or maybe their director would sign and say okay, oh yeah, give them the information. Sometimes you don't get that, right? It's not in every industry that you get that, or every sector. So you might need to start small, look around you, right? Try and find, like doctors that and then you personally do the legwork and try and see if they're verified, right? Start with that, build some form of platform, some form of portfolio, right? And as you do that, you would then you start to expand. You get to a certain point where you then have to maybe approach the what's it even called, NMA, I think Nigerian Medical Association, all of that, seeking for information on doctors that are registered under their platform and verified. But you have to start from a certain point first, right? I don't know if you have a registered entity. Another thing that you need to look out for as well is having a licensed practitioner as well as part of your team, so that when it gets to that point of going to seek this information, it wouldn't be difficult. Because it's just like a non-lawyer going to meet the Nigerian bar station saying, I need details of your lawyers because we're doing so and so, and they don't have anybody on their team. First of all, getting that information from them might sort of like be like a chore. Like if I go on NBA website now, they will not be able to tell me how many lawyers are in Nigeria. They probably say 140,000 plus, but they can't give me the definite number. So these are some of the issues that we experience currently. But I don't want to deter you. Start small, get people to manually onboard people, right? Manually onboard people. I mean, you can make a tweet asking for lawyers in Akure, make a tweet asking for lawyers in Port Harcourt. Sorry, doctors in Port Harcourt, gynecologists in Port Harcourt, and all of that, right? And you can compile that, right? And as you grow, you probably have maybe 1,000 users, 2,000 users. Now, these people are obviously paying their subscription fee, right? And your business is generating some form of income. Um, in fact, you just need to get to 1,000, right? Onboard manually, even if you have only 10, even if you have only 10 doctors on your platform and you have just a few users and you have a product that is working and you approach some serious minded investors, at least they will see that work has been put in. Because the truth is, for you to even approach these entities as well, you need money, right? You need money to approach them, you need money to acquire users and all of that. But start small. Do not limit yourself with having not gotten any sort of funding. Even within your university, I'm sure that you probably have some gynecologists in the medical department. If you guys have any that you can approach and all of that, and you can get maybe one of the professors there to even serve as an advisor to your entity, and that person would even be able to even speak on your behalf when you approach such bodies. This is where your network comes into play. The person might also be able to introduce to other people who will probably find the product useful, that may probably even want to invest in your business. But please, like, just start one step at a time and onboard the ones that you can find around you. The truth is, investors like to put money in things that they believe in. A lot of the times they can believe in it, but if you look at the space, you've seen and heard of some issues where some businesses have crashed. Some founders cannot account for funds given to them. If you're an investor and you're reading that kind of news, it's very disheartening and it's very discouraging to want to put money in that kind of markets, right? You become very skeptical. Put yourself in their shoes. A lot of them will want to see that you have at least started doing some form of work, right? Before they come into the picture, so that it's not some modern day 419 scheme. I think that you should approach it that way, and you would definitely get investors rolling in, and not just people that would drop money, but people that would also support you with the strength of their network as well. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Dominic.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Moving on to, I think it was Alex. I think Alex, your hand was up before Robin. Not sure. Let me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. Alex next. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay. Okay, I'm from next minute. Alright,
No worries.
alright, so my question is I want to talk about the co-founding roles. Right.
Pardon?
And I want to talk about basically
You want to talk about what?
I'm sorry. I want to talk about the co-founding relationship.
Okay.
So at the moment, one of the things I'm just trying to do for the past 5 months now is looking at to do
Okay,
the
Alex, I can't hear you. You keep breaking. Do you mind texting, sending your question as a text?
okay, I'll do that.
Thank you. So I'm just going to move over to Robin now, and then I'll take the ones in the text afterwards, in the chat box rather afterwards.
All right. Thanks for all the informations you've shared earlier. It's really a nice one, and indeed, it was well needed. I have two questions actually. My first question is based on registration. For a startup that has not been registered in no form of way, like business name, company's name, if there is any form of agreement between the co-founders, will it still be regarded as a legal document? Like, will it still stand as a legal document? That's my first question. However, my second question is concerning getting legal advice, because I've had an experience where I was talking with a lawyer and trying to get counsel from her based on business insights into startup. And the first thing was I need to make payment. Like the the first statement was you'll be paying me for consultation fee, all this blah 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 fee, and I'm like, wow, calm down. So my question is, how can startups get some of this insight, like things you just shared, and without being overwhelmed with the payment. Like the payment was too much. The idea has not already started yielding income. And just like you said, many of us are just trying to build the idea. How do we like get good advice? And because most of these documents, even if we read it by ourselves, we will not be able to like see some errors, see some tricky aspect of it. We will still at the long run need counsel from lawyers. But then when the lawyers are already chasing us based on Nigerian situation, so how do we go about that? That's my question.
Okay, so first one was the founders agreement being a legal document, Abi? Yes. So it depends on how it is drafted. Depends on how it is drafted. Because again, it's between you and a couple of other people, right? If you want a more solid one, depends on how it's drafted. Yeah. Yeah. Second one concerning payments. Baba. Baba. But they say, hey, go do. They say, man, we work must chop. Eh? Now, they are lawyers. Do you know how many years they spent in at uni going to school? Let's not even add law school, because if we even add law school, we'll just break the table completely. You have to pity them now, eh? To be honest, it's really good that you're taking advantage of this session by Startup Tribe, because a lot of the time, this is pretty much, where you're going to get that free legal advisory from, honestly. It's honestly where you get it from. In my own personal capacity at my firm, I try to incorporate some of this free legal advisory because I totally understand. But again, if you're also looking at the economic situation as well, I mean, there are people that are employed on my team, right? They have their families, they have their kids that they have to cater for, right? They've gone to school, they've learned and all of that. So I would definitely say always keep an eye for when Startup Tribe is doing this. If you feel like you need follow-up legal support or advisory, not support, because me, I don't even do any pro bono this thing. It's as my heart moves like this that I do pro bono life. But in terms of any further legal advisory, I think you definitely stay in touch with Startup Tribe, and we will definitely work something out along that line. Along having maybe like a more detailed, in-depth session as well. Hopefully even bring in some investors as well. Both investors in Nigeria and other foreign investors, so you can also hear from the horse's mouth as to why some investors make some decisions and why they don't go with some decisions. But yeah, definitely just stay tuned with Startup Tribe. I'm sure Sukaribo is going to come and drag me soon. But yeah, definitely stay tuned, because Baba, you said check economy now. Like, even though they're doing it for free before, that one is long gone. They are suffocating us. I'm telling you now, it's how it is. But yeah. Okay, so I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes.
Okay, great. So Alex, I was saying that you should type your message, but I can't see that yet. So I'm just gonna go straight to okay, so Mohammed said, in a situation where there's an agreement in the company before you were employed, and it turns out the agreement is a faulty one, if it backfires, do I get affected when the issue comes up? So Mohammed, I would like to know what kind of agreement are we speaking about here? And what do you mean by if it backfires? Hi, Mohammed, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So I'm talking about maybe if there's an agreement between the company and the partner. If it turns out to be a shady one and I have no idea about it.
A company and a partner. Who is this partner to you? Is
No,
this
I
person your
mean, no,
co-founder?
it's just an idea. This is just like a question that came to my mind. I would like to know if there's something like that, if there's an issue
Okay,
that
so
comes up
you
later.
have a company, right? Your company
Yeah,
got into an agreement with a partner, and then
exactly.
something happened, and an issue came up. Okay, so
Yeah.
first things first, with the rule that we established earlier, that a company is a legal person, it can sue and it can be sued. it means that that issue is between the partner and the company. However, in law, there's always an exception to every rule. That's how it is. And the exception here is, so typically what happens is, imagine this as a corporate veil, right? We're the board of directors now, all of us on this call, and there's this corporate veil. We're the ones that are making decision for the company, right? Now, if by if our actions or inactions, if we did something wrong to put the company in that position where the agreement with that partner is now void and whatever, maybe we did some fraudulent things, that veil that was covering us will be removed by the courts. And the court would look at each and every director as they are as individuals. So that thing that was covering them before, oh, they're acting on behalf of company A, it's not going to happen anymore. They're going to have to take it off, and they're going to have to deal with each person, which is why you hear of some issues where you hear of some issues where some directors have been sued, some agents of the company have been sued, etc. So if you look at the issue of the company in the US with the drug issue, fentanyl or so, some drug that that people were getting addicted to, they sued, the CEO, they sued the chairman of the board of directors. If you also look at Elizabeth, what's her name now? Theranos. I don't know if you know about the drug company Theranos, right? They sued her, despite the fact that her company was a legal person. She had acted in a manner that required the courts to not look at the company as a legal person, but to look at the people underneath the company that make the decision for the company. So if you did something, or if you do something that you're not supposed to do as a director, of course, the courts take out the corporate veil. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so hi, Jedediah. Good evening. We're currently trying different ways to validate our idea. We're about to release our wait list and see how our target audience interacts with it and get their feedback. Is it too early to get IP rights and register the startup as a company? Please register your startup, Jedediah. Please do that. Definitely do that. I cannot stress this. Please do it. Concerning the IP, I understand that you're trying to validate your idea, so just work with the registration of your company first, and get the feedback that you want from potential users. And as you generate some form of income, then you can take those steps one after the other. Then Eniola Alex, my question. Someone's about to say something.
You missed a question, the one before Jedediah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we are currently at the prototype and MVP stage. We're tempted with a little investment or partnership. Do you advise to go for it, or we should wait to roll out first? My dear, I don't know the terms of your investment. I don't know the terms, right? But again, if your entity is registered, right? If your entity is registered, all good and fine. This is Abubakar. Where's Abubakar?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great. So your company is registered, right?
Well, it's registered under business name yet, but we are working on moving it to limited liability.
Please move it to limited liability. When you do that, right? Again, I don't know the terms of the investments, but I mean, who turns down no to good money? If the terms are good, and I cannot tell you that explicitly right now that they're good, I would have to see the agreement, your deal to know. But if they're good, then definitely go with it. It's also even going to help you with marketing, customer acquisition, and all those kind of things. But please, caveat on, if the terms of the investments are good. And before you even accept it, conclude your registration so that that investment will be accepted by the company and not you, Abubakar, in your personal capacity. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Abubakar.
Yeah, you do. Thank you very much.
Great. So Eniola, my question is on the distribution of equity and shares with co-founders and other stakeholders of the team, such as board advisors. When and how do you evaluate to distribute equity and shares while trying to build a solid relationship? And how do you even communicate this at the early days to keep them? Okay. Be very straightforward about this. And concerning advisors as well, there is this tricky thing about advisors. I hope you understand that depending on how you are structuring your business, if you're going the Silicon Valley way, advisors don't get above 1.5% equity, and a lot of the times, they don't get above 1.5. That's one. Number two, having conversations concerning equity. The earlier, the better. It's better for you to set out the terms of your relationship once and for all than to keep beating around the bush. If you keep beating around the bush and dragging it longer, it can spoil the relationship. And I believe that these stakeholders are people that are within your network. So you already have some form of relationship with them. So it's better to have the conversation. It's better to have the back and forth and all of that. Depending on how you address the issue, if you're addressing it respectfully, right, you'd see that, excuse me, please, for those that are just joining, I just had dinner. So yeah, depending on how you have the conversation, you'd find that your relationship is strengthened, right? Depending on how you have the conversation. But it's always good to have the conversation early on. There's no room for ambiguity. Don't leave room for ambiguity. Let someone not be thinking that they're going to collect 55%. Meanwhile, what you have in your mind is 10%. It's like, just have the conversation early on, right? And explain your reasoning. It helps explain your reasoning around that, right? And obviously hear their own sides, right? And come to an agreement. It's better that way than for you to leave it to the point where people are now about to go and register the entity. It's now when your lawyer has called you, what's the share, what's the equity splits? You're there asking your lawyer, please, what do you advise? I've not told my partners yet. There's no time for that too. Have it early on, please. Please, please, please have it early on. I mean, we're all mature people in the room. Let me start with that, but please have it early on. And obviously listen to their own side as well. Have an open mind and have the conversation. I hope I've been able to answer your question, Eniola. I don't know if you're on this call. But yeah, Babajide, which is more advisable for an early stage startup, having a law firm on retainer or paying for necessary documents and services? It's very tricky because you do both at KD, at Catterick and Dale. It depends, really. It depends. And I'd say this because how our retainer is structured is everything comes under the retainer except for third-party fees that do not concern us. So fees going outside is not our business. You pay for that one, but every other thing comes under the retainer. Now, with supporting startups, I can bet you there are 1,000,001 agreements to draft. There are 1,000,001 advisory calls to get on. I've had clients calling me at like 4 a.m., 3 a.m. But to be honest, that time I did not mind it because I was even having sleep problems. So it was even helping me stay. But now I'm beginning to mind it because any little thing can just, wake me up and then, I can't sleep anymore. But it honestly depends. It's best for you to have a conversation with the firm that you're approaching. Have that conversation with them. Tell them, look, this is where I'm at, right? You guys are offering this and this. What comes under this? What comes under that? Right? The payment per service, right? It's good because you pay for a particular service. As your money is coming, you pay for another one and things like that. So you're going at your own pace. That in some situations may be a little more expensive than having an all-in-one retainer where you can, if you like, call partner today, partner will pick. You text partner, they're chasing me, let's get on the call. You have that person available for you. But either ways, right, just have that conversation. Let them know where you're currently at, and it helps to structure out something that works for your team, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think we can take Mohammed's question now. Sagi Mohammed.
Mohammed.
Yeah,
What?
his hand is up.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. You know, I was actually looking at I even stopped looking at my. Sorry. Hi, Sagir. Yeah. What's your question?
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. And my question is just one. And while you were talking, you mentioned about different ways startups can raise capital, which
Mm,
includes bootstrapping, angel investors, VCs, and the rest. So now,
mm-hmm,
based on your experience with startups,
mm-hmm.
which one do you think is best? Like, which one do you think is going to work out for most startups?
Yeah. It's not a one size fits all kind of thing. And I am saying this from an entrepreneurship perspective as well. I had a conversation today with this lady, right? Um, she's pretty much very passionate on entrepreneurship, and she holds a doctorate and all those kind of things. And we're having a conversation, and I spoke about how our conversation was around um, investment models and like business structuring, right, in developing economies across Africa. And I mean, if you look at the VC model, it's more or less a Silicon Valley thing, it's a US thing, and we've come to adopt that, right? And you find that for some it works, for some it doesn't work. So at the end of the day, it depends on where you want your business to get to, depends on the level of accountability that you want as well. um and I say accountability because I mean, if you were to go with the VC model, oh, there's a whole lot of accountability there, right? If you were to go with the loan facility, right, you're pretty much betting on yourself because you're saying, Omo, if I don't, if this business does not grow, they'll come and carry my car or they'll come and carry my house, right? They wouldn't. Yeah, but yeah, you get the point. So it depends on your business and the growth trajectory of your business. Um, VC can be beneficial to some business types, right? Some business types can only just operate on grants, and maybe they use that one grant that they get and they scale their business in a very crazy, fantastic manner, and then that's it. Some might just operate on just bootstrapping and they get to a certain point where they're breaking even. So it just all depends on the business type and where you see your business going. Again, like I mean, people who are building to exit at some point, they like to go the VC way, right? So it all depends. Where are you seeing yourself? Exit, IPO, how many years, and all those kind of things. What do you want to achieve? It all depends on that as well. This is probably not the definite answer that you wanted, but it's a very interesting one because I'm of the opinion that we have taken some practices that may not necessarily work extremely great for the kind of society that we have in Africa. So we're still having that debate. Well, yeah, it does depend on your business.
All right, that's fine. So just last questions from We Startup Tribe to you. Okay.
Oh, there's Eniola. There's Eniola's question. He said,
Um, yeah. So before in your last question, could you do a
okay,
bit touching on three things? Okay. Now we have a lot of aspiring founders and we have a lot of first-time founders here, and there is the importance of cliff and vesting. Okay, so could you just? I know you spoke about it, but yeah, could you just throw more light on cliff period, vesting, and safe? Okay, yeah.
okay. So vesting in simple terms. Now I've started to play because I'm tired. Okay, vesting is okay. I hold 50%, or rather, you this is our startup. We're all co-founders, and you people have said that me, I'll hold 50% equity, right? Now, the reason why there's a vesting period is because you don't want to just dash 50% away like that. If you give me 50% outright from day one, I can probably put in work after 6 months, 8 months. One US company will then come and try to poach me. You that you only just gave me 50%, they have not even given me money. You don't want me to stay here. Are you the enemy of my progress? I can leave you and I'll go and join the US entity. But remember, I have 50% in your company outright, straight. I hold that. Can't contest it. That's the reason why there's vesting. The vesting period is there to, in a way, to motivate people, in a way to hold on to their will I say their resilience and their discipline and determination and all of that. You don't want to give out outright the outright, even if we are giving me 10%, you don't want to give that out outright, because you never can tell. Something can happen along the line. My career goals might change. Life is very amazing. I may want to go and start my own thing, and I may not have the time to put in 2 years and all those kind of things. If you give it outright to me, then there's a big problem. However, if you split it, the cliff pretty much comes to say that, okay, that's 1 year period. So it can be 1 year cliff, 2 year cliff. Let's work with 1 year. That 1 year period, right? It would be vesting, every month. Let's say it would be vesting 2% or 1.5% every month. But it's at the end of 1 year that I can then come and lay claim to it that, okay, I have so and so. I have so and so what they call it. I have so and so equity in the entity, right? So cliff is, let's say, hold off period. From this period to this period, you are not laying claim to anything, but it's vesting. You are watching it. It's accruing. Yes, it's accruing. Let me not use vesting. It's accruing, right? The vesting, that period of vesting, is so that I'm not giving you everything immediately. Like, stay committed to the entity. Let's all build together. Even the CEO's, what they call it, the CEO's equity also vests as well. Yes, it does vest. But again, it depends on the conversation that you have with your team. But it's very, very important, very, very, very important that you have a vesting schedule. Let equity vest. Because the beautiful thing about equity now is, let's say I held equity in a particular place and then tomorrow I die, right? There are certain terms that can allow my equity in that entity, my shares in that entity, to pass to either my next of kin or to the person with whom I've willed it to in my will. It can then pass to the person. So that 50% that I know probably work up to 2 months for, that's how I've got to go and give it to my sister like that straight. You, the founder, now you will be tired. Will you not be tired? Of course you'll be tired. So it's very important that you have that duration. Let it motivate people to want to give their all. There's also something on stock options as well, employee stock options, where your employees are given stocks as at the day you give them, but they will be able to purchase those stocks in the future as at the price it was at the day that you gave them those stocks. These things are set in place to motivate people to want to give, to want to keep working, to want to keep giving their all in the business or to the business. Then concerning safe, right? Safe is pretty much, again, Silicon Valley way. Chebi is from YC. Simple agreement for future equity. As the name implies, now agreement is just an agreement that says that, okay, you have dropped this money. You are probably giving me $5,000 as investments. But right now, you don't know the equity that you hold in the company. Let's just be growing. At some point, by the time we're getting to, let's say, maybe series, and we've, looked at our cap table, and we've gone to post incorporate and done all the things that we need to do, by that time, you would then have an idea of how much equity you'd have. So it's sort of like blind investing in a company, right, as a shareholder, but not knowing the amount of equity that you hold. Now, the safes are not, if you're investing in a US entity, it works, right? If you're investing in a US entity and they have that model, they use that model, then all good and fine. but the safe agreement cannot be applied in Nigeria, because two different things. In Niger, you're getting those shares outright. If you want it to apply in Niger, then there's a whole lot of maneuvering to draw up an agreement that is promising that in the future. Because again, the contract is offer acceptance and offer acceptance consideration. There must be an offer, there must be consideration, there must be an acceptance, right? So it depends on how your lawyer is going to maneuver that. But the whole idea of a safe is not something that is recognized by Nigerian legal system. It just applies in the US. But as the name implies, you are giving me money. I've collected your money. At some point in the future, you know how much equity your money was able to buy you. That's just what it is. Does anyone have any question before I go to your last question?
I think no more questions. So you could take and your last question and we could call it a day.
Okay, so Ayala said the following is a list of licenses required by startup/entrepreneurs who intend to practice health tech in Nigeria. Certificate of incorporation with CFC, certificate of proficiency for doctors, pharmacists, registration of technology transfer, certificate of approval, license to practice as a medical practitioner or healthcare giver, Nigerian business permit and license, practicing license authority by the medical and dental. What do you advise going about getting? Anyola? Okay, so for your health tech business, I don't know if it was you that asked the question before on the health tech one, but for that, right? Yes, your CAC, that incorporation document is your registration of your company at CAC. In terms of the license, like I mentioned earlier, that you need to have someone who is licensed in Nigeria to be part of your team, either as an advisor or as a director. You definitely need that. When you have that person, right now, you're going to bypass the practicing license, the MDC that you put there. You're going to bypass that's the same thing now. Practice license and license to practice as a medical, yeah, it's the same thing. But you would bypass that license that's required of a medical doctor, right? Because you already have someone on your team that can provide your license certificate. If it's just you and your co-founders who have no medical background or medical license, right, then it's going to be a very big issue. You must be able to provide that person on your team that has that license to operate, because I mean it's a law that you cannot operate without. If you're in professional services, you can't. Not that it's a law, but it's a requirement by the various professional bodies that you cannot operate in that space without having a license to operate. The same way I can't operate as a lawyer without having the license to operate as a lawyer in Nigeria. Abubakar just asked what the required license for fintechs to run in Nigeria. It depends on how your fintech is structured. Yeah, it depends on how, because CBN has lots and lots of licenses. So it depends on what's the service that you're giving. If you're lending money, you need your money lender's license. If you're a payments processor, you need your PSSP and all those kind of things. Is it okay to release our MVP without having the basic license? To be honest, I don't think that your MVP would work without you having integrated at least someone who has that license. And for a lot of the early stage entities, it's advisable to actually have someone or to work to integrate a business that already has that license. So let's say you wanted to process payments. You already know some of the real estate banks or microfinance banks or fintechs that and other financial institutions that already have the license. So you can actually integrate them to process that money for you up until when you're able to obtain your license. Because if you don't, then of course you will be viewed as, yeah, the clown guy is going past. You'll be viewed as a fraudulent body. So I don't think you'll be able to stop it, because if you process payment for somebody, where is it being lodged at? You definitely need to integrate someone who has the license. And it's very important when you're having those conversations with them it's very important for you when you're having these conversations with them to ask them particularly about the licenses that they hold, so that you're informed pretty much, and you know whether or not to go with them or not. Are there books or sites to help bring our knowledge about legal acts, etc.? Um, yeah, there should be some blogs. There should be some blogs. There should be some blogs. But again, whatever it is that you're reading online, please always double check with your lawyer, and a lawyer that is versed in either startup practice or commercial practice, all of that. Always inquire. The same way when I go on Google and say I'm having a sore throat, Google asks me why I'm not on my way to my funeral. Until I go and ask a doctor to verify that. It's very important. Why is there little awareness on startups and more focus on mere entrepreneurship? To be very honest, the startup model is something that came from the US. But as Africans, we have always indulged in the business of buying and selling since time immemorial, right? So entrepreneurship is still what the startup life is all about. The only thing is the startup legal way is a bit like murky water. It's not like your traditional companies. Things are moving very fast and all those kind of things. And to be honest, that's actually why there's little awareness on it, because not until the Startup Act was released. Prior to that, we were pretty much just, it was lawyers that were using ignorant threat to say a lot of things. Prior to the Nigerian government actually acknowledging startups by passing the startup bill to an act. Okay, Jedediah said it's an edtech, but we will be processing payments. Yeah, you process payments, but you process it using a third-party payment processor who must have the required licenses to process such payments, so that you don't have issues with your money hanging somewhere. Please, for further questions, you can ask on the. Do you agree with 50% shares a co-founders? And you're like, whatever really rocks your boat at the end of the day. But please be aware that you both will be diluted equally. And I typically also advise as well for some percentage to be left for stock options for your employees. So yeah.
No, 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 no. Please ask on the Slack channel. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So
All
please,
right.
yeah, we have to go. Thank you so much, Karen. Karen has
You're
done just
welcome.
like delivered professionally and so eloquently and beautifully. Okay, let's give her accolades. Give her accolades. Give her accolades. Okay, so
Thank
Karen, you
you.
just do one thing for us. Could you drop a link to your Twitter so we can give you a shout out? Okay, we as your trainee.
What's the name to my Twitter?
Yep, yep. So please just drop a link to your Twitter so we could tell you how much we really appreciate the value that you have dished out this evening. So everybody wants to drop it, okay? Go down on Twitter, give her a shout out and tell let's let's appreciate the value that we have gotten for free. If you're actually paying for the session, trust me, you'll be paying a lot for it. And she just spent the last 2 hours to give you all of this value for almost free. Okay, so thank you so much, Karen. Okay, so
Um, I
yeah,
might not. Okay.
have you seen it? Mm-hmm.
I've seen it.
Or you know
Text
doesn't
is mod.
eh?
No, this is the wrong link actually. It's not gonna. I'm not. You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Let me do something.
Okay.
You can just find me on Twitter using this, because my laptop is not allowing me copy on my phone and paste. So go well. And Karen underscore Amari. Yeah, double eyes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have a lovely evening.
Okay. Thank you so much,
And
Karen.
yeah, if you actually have any questions, you can either DM me or you can DM Catherine and Bill, and we will be happy to answer your questions. And we will definitely set up something else with Startup Tribe as well. We're actually setting up something else, but like it's still in the works. I'm sure Sakarimo will drag me because I've not spoken further about that, but okay. All right. Have a lovely evening. Bye.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Mm-hmm. So can you all
Yes,
hear
sir.
me? Okay, so
Yes,
today is
sir.
day 3. So tomorrow is day 4. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be having a talk on startup operations, fundamental of startup operations. Operations is one key aspect of startup. How to ensure that you're actually productive, because truth be told, you would have, as a aspiring founder or as a first time founder, you would always be starting small. And most times when you have that foundational team, ensuring that they're as productive as they need to be can be a challenge. Okay, so tomorrow we're talking on how, what you need to know in terms of operations for your startup. Okay, so the time is going to still be 7 p.m. tomorrow, and hopefully it is shorter. Okay, it is not legal that is very, very long. It should be way shorter than the amount of time we spent today. Okay, so for any further question, feel free to um, drop drop it on the Slack channel. I think Karen is also part of the Slack channel, so she should be able to also see and respond to it. Okay, so she has dropped her handle. Please do well to make a tweet this night. Tag her, tag her, and also tag Startup Tribe, and let's appreciate the value that we got from her today. I just dropped the link to her profile, to her Twitter. Okay, so do well to actually follow, tweet, and yeah, that's it. So see you guys 7 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, and I know you got value today. Okay, so see you tomorrow. All right. So bye for now, everyone. Mm-hmm. Yeah.